Hey, this is Jamie Lancaster again, Cal Poly Humboldt, second video in our Zappos scraping project recorded in fall of 2023. So I'm back. My scraper has done scraping. The extra window that was in it has closed. And here is my browsed data. If you aren't here, make sure to go back to your sitemap, go to Browse, and before you proceed, just make sure that you've got stuff at one point or at one point in time, something in every column. You should have no columns that are completely blank. All right, I've got something at one point or another in every column. Then once you see that, we got to figure out how to get the data out of here. And at least that is pretty straightforward. So from the sitemap drop-down menu, you export the sitemap. Just kidding, you export the data. And then we're going to download it as XLSX. That is an Excel workbook. It's going to come out. I'm going to try to suggest the name of the sitemap. I click save. There it is. And we are going to open it. Here it is. This beautiful and exciting spreadsheet that doesn't look like much right now is where we're starting. I want to show you something quickly, which is how it looks now and where we're going to head at the end of this. So my original data that I downloaded has 2,864 rows. It's got columns. A, the web scraper order, B, the web scraper URL, right? You can see that page 3. If I scroll down eventually, it'll have page 2, page 1, and page 0. Do you see that? That's each one of these represents the link to one of those shoes that we wanted to collect data on. Then there's information on the link to the shoe that tells us the brand, price, and at the end we have this piece here where it says 4.3 out of 5 stars. This is the only place where we have the exact star rating of the shoe. So we're going to have to mine that out of there in a little bit. It's got more link to shoe, and then it's got the information that we wanted to get. The brand name of each shoe, the model of each shoe, the price and the MSRP. If they're different, it tells us that shoe's on sale. The number of reviews left, the true to size and true to width metrics, and then we've got the comfort and style. And then we've got a couple of links to more. That's how we took our links to more reviews. And then we have our comfort style 2 and our style 2 collected from that second page of links. When we're done, what we're aiming for is something like this. Every row represents a single shoe. So in our row 2 here, the first row of data, we've got Adidas running with the Adizero SI that you can buy for $85.16, although it's on sale. It had an MSRP of $120. Here I've got an indicator, 1 if something's on sale, and then 0, as you can see, 2 more down for a shoe that's not on sale. I've got the number of reviews, which is some flawed measure, like it's a proxy for popularity, although a shoe that is very popular in the overall shoe market, but it's new to Zappos, wouldn't have a lot of reviews. So it's a flawed measure, but maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. And then I've got 2 fit measures. Is it true to size, or true to width? Then we have overall rating, and then we've got comfort rating and style rating for each shoe, and those are averages. So what we're going to do in the next handful of steps is take something that looks like this in the beginning and clean it up so that it ends up looking like this, where we have 1 row per model of shoe, and in total we're going to end up with 232 models of shoes that have values that we were able to scrape information on all of the metrics that we wanted. So every shoe in our final data set will have had a price. It will have been rated by customers for true to size and true to width. It will have an overall rating, and it will have been rated by at least one customer for comfort and style. So that's where we're headed. And let's get started here by jumping in with the data that you just downloaded. So I would start, if you haven't already, by clicking up in the corner and double clicking on a space between the cells. Mine had already been adjusted, but that'll allow you to see everything that's in the cells. It'll adjust the columns so that they're as wide as they need to be to express or to show whatever is in each cell. And then before you get started, change the name of this tab to 1. This is our raw data. We're labeling it 1. We're going to keep it as 1, and we're not going to touch it any more than what we already did. The reason for that is it's very frequent that as you move through the spreadsheet and you make more and more tabs, you eventually mess something up and you have to come back, and it's better to just have it here rather than need to go down, re-download it from Zappos. So I'm going to start by making a copy of this first tab. So I left click and then I right click and I select move or copy. And when the box pops up, I click create a copy and I want to put that copy at the end. I'll say okay. I get a new tab. It's called 1 parentheses 2. I'm just going to double click and change the name of that to 2. Now for a moment, I have the exact same thing in 2 cells or in 2 tabs. So we're going to get a little reckless here. We're going to delete the things we don't need. So let's simplify. I don't need the start URLs. Pardon my dog. We're going to right click on the B and I'm going to click delete. I want to keep this link to shoe because we need to extract the exact number of stars. So I'm going to leave that one there. But then my second link to shoe, that's just a URL, we're going to right click and delete that one also. So I've got brand, model, price, MSRP, number of reviews, true to size, true to width. My first go at comfort and style, that's from the first product page. Then I have the information with the linking to more, and I don't need either of those things, so I'm going to delete those. Then I've got my second go at comfort and style. So that was a huge improvement. And so that gets us to the number of columns that we're going to need. And so double check, I've got columns A through M. When you're working with your practice data and looking at the men's shoes, make sure that you've got the same thing that I've got for A to M. We're going to make one more change in this video, and then we'll pause and come back for the next video. So the thing that I want to change here that's relatively easy to change, I want to address price, MSRP, number of reviews, in these proportions. So what's going on here? They look good, but there's a couple of things to note. I don't know if you can see, I'm sure you can. In the upper left corner of each of these cells is a little green triangle. And the other thing that's going on is, well, let's just leave it at that green triangle for a minute. If you click on a cell that has a green triangle, you get this error that comes up. And it's telling us the problem is that there's a number in here stored as text. Well, looking right above, you can see that it says text here. And that is a problem for us. And let's address that problem right away. In fact, everything on this spreadsheet is stored as text, whether if it's a number or not. So let's just, for a variety of reasons, most importantly, so that we can input formulas later, let's click that upper corner and let's change everything here to general. That's no specific number format. Now, if we need to add a formula later, when we need to add a formula, I should have said it should let us, and let's hope that works. Now let's go back to this number stored as text. Even if we changed it, it's still a number stored as text. We can convert it to a number. Boom. You get those those pound signs in there because there's not enough room in the cell. So you just have to make the cell a little bit wider. So, you can see the rest of your day turning into a nightmare, having to change all of these into numbers stored as text. But there's a shortcut. And that shortcut can be found under the Data tab with a fancy little trick called Text to Columns. We do have to do each column individually, but it's really straightforward. Click on the E, click on text to column, and then you make no choices. You just keep hitting next and then finish. MSRP will do the same thing, text to column here. Next, next, finish. Pound signs, just because the cell's too narrow, so double click, make it wider, and now everything fits. For number of reviews, we're going to do the same thing, text to column. Next, next, finish. Note here that all the number of reviews are now expressed as negative, and that's just because one of the ways that Excel will format a negative number is by using parentheses. So we're going to change that in just a second. Let's just change the true to style and true to width first. We'll text to column these. Next, next, finish. And then we're done, at least with this step. Let's address these negative numbers of reviews. And we're going to do that by inserting a new column between G and H. We'll left click on the H, we'll right click, and then we'll do insert. And then we're just going to call this again number of reviews. And we're going to use a formula. It's going to equal the cell next to it multiplied by -1. And I enter that, I hit 0, I get 0, which that should not be. Let's try if I do equals negative that cell. I don't want a 0. Why is it giving me a 0? What if I take this? Well, does 0 matter here? There aren't any reviews. It might come back to haunt me, but I think it'll be okay. If we run into that problem later, we might have to find a way around, but in this case, it's fine. Because really, if a shoe has no reviews, we can't use it in our data set. I don't know if you remember from earlier, I said that every shoe we have in our final data set is going to be something that has been rated. It will have a price and possibly an MSRP. It'll have at least a price. And it will have been reviewed because we want to know what people think in terms of being true to size, true to width, or its comfort and style. So let's leave those zeros, and if it comes back to haunt us later, it'll be okay. So now we've got number of reviews twice, once negative and once positive. I want to get rid of number of reviews, but if I take this now and I delete it, don't do it. Stop yourself, just watch for a second, and I delete it. Look, this all becomes errors, and that's because they have formulas in them that reference a cell that's now deleted. So before I can delete number of reviews, I'm going to copy and paste my second column. So these have formulas in them now. Right-click copy, right-click paste special. And by pasting special and choosing just to paste the values, what I'm going to get then is a removal of all of those formulas, and now I just get the values. So now when I go to delete column G, I run into no problems at all. I'm going to center this. All right, that's all I wanted to show you for this video. So we got the data downloaded, we deleted unnecessary columns, and we cleaned our first few variables. We're going to come back in the next video to extract the number of stars, and then in the video after that, we're going to deal with our comfort and style. All right, see you again in a second.